This is your daily briefing and you are most welcome to it. Yesterday, I have to report a few of you were suffering from bunched underwear syndrome in relation to my assessment, my analysis of Oliver Skipp against Aston Villa at the weekend. So we need to get something straight, because what does not work, and not just for me, but for sane people across the world, is that how one individual feels about something. It's fascinating to have different opinions, but your feelings don't outweigh the facts. So, for example, you go into a modernist art gallery and you stand there and you think, well, I really enjoyed looking at that picture. It was fantastic. And what did you think it was of? Well, I thought it was a giraffe in a tumble dryer. Well, fantastic. Well, unfortunately, the little card next to it by the woman who painted it said that it's a woman washing clothes on stones in a river. So how you felt and you enjoyed your interaction with the piece, that's one thing. But the facts are, the woman who painted it, constructed it, entirely another. And you can't argue with the woman and tell her what it is that you felt, and that supersedes the facts. I mean, you know, I know that's laboured, but I'm just trying to get a point across to you. So a number of you were telling me that Skipp had a great game and I didn't know what I was talking about, and you can prove anything with stats, which is one of the laziest phrases in the English language. So let's take a closer look and see if I am producing some evil manipulative spell here, or just telling you what happened. Skipp's total successful action mean average is 73.4%. So that's like 3/4 of the time he's absolutely, utterly reliable, which is pretty good for a guy in his position. But against Aston Villa, that fell to 66%, which isn't disastrous, but it's far from good. His passing accuracy, there's no problem with that, as I mentioned, and it's where it ought to be. In the 90th percentile, 92%. Thanks very much, keep it going. But we only saw one successful long pass. And, you know, I guess it depends from game to game and all the rest of it, but Eric Dyer had a bit more vision, and he's supposedly awful. As far as this defensive midfielder's dual success was concerned, his average stands at 53.6% of making defensive duels. But against Villa, it fell to just 3 successful goes from 15 attempts, which is just 20%. Now, I'm not saying he should never play for us again, or the whole thing's been a dream or a nightmare and we've woken up, but that's not good enough. Possession lost average was 49.5%, which I would say in defence of him isn't bad for the position he plays on the park. But against Aston Villa, that went up to 83.3 recurring percent. Defensive duels average was at 58.1%, and against Villa collapsed to 25%. And it wasn't all doom and gloom. I'm not trying to tell you that he's a write-off, because this is one of the things in football that we have to embrace, and it's the light and shade. So if we look at this clip, we can see that he produced a fantastic moment. The moral of this story is that nobody in their right mind would seek to pass off numbers as being the be-all and end-all. However, and this goes back to the thing about the painting, how someone feels about a performance can only be their own business, especially when the numbers don't support any of the feelings or praise in this instance. So hopefully we can kind of move on from this, and when I give you analysis in the future, I'm not pushing a narrative. That's the thing you have to remember here. I'm just trying to give you some common sense. So I think the change in shape that Nuno employed was definitely a boost. I think everybody's agreed on that. But I do feel that Skippy could have offered more, and I don't think that's unreasonable. On a lighter note, Eric Dyer has branched out into stand-up comedy. Lots of quotes, but this one particularly made me smirk. "We need to be challenging for European football. There has to be European football in this stadium. No disrespect to the Conference League. We need to be playing above that. That's what we should be striving towards. So you weren't involved in the Zagreb game. We're not good enough to be in the Europa League, and we need to bring on our two best players, arguably, to even cope against Slovenia's fifth finest, or whatever they are. And there's been a slight update on the business with Nuno's contract and the alleged ejector seat clause that David Ornstein came out with. And bless him, he's doubled down. As you can see from this tweet, he was asked if he should delete the tweet now that the club had refuted the allegation that should Spurs fail to achieve at least a finishing spot in the Premier League of 6th place, that he would be ousted from his position halfway through without any compensation. And Mr. Ornstein is not for turning. The Athletic is frequently a chore, but David is not. So more, please. That's it for the moment. I'm not sure when the friendlies start. Friendlies, internationals, whatever they are, the time waster tournaments start. So as and when we get clips come through or anything to report, you should be amongst the first to receive it. So as remember what I always say, despite them, keep it Tottenham.